80% of the Afghans welcomed us. It's now down to about 50 because we haven't done it very well. And it may be we can't put that genie back in the bottle. I don't think you have to create, you'll never create a unified Afghanistan. What you want to do is create a stable thing, and the central government has some powers, and the local people can kind of do their own thing. What you got to do, I think, is get into it, but you don't want it to become a narco state either. One example of my own experience. I was in New York in 2001 looking at the Council on Foreign Relations, 68th report. About a week after that, I get a call from the Iranian ambassador to the U.S. because remember, we don't have relations in Washington. And I, at that time, was vice president, one of those big titles. He said, I'd like you to come over for dinner with some of your scholars who work on that part of the world. So I went out, this is late September 2001. And basically he said, we want you to convey this message to government. We're with you in Afghanistan. We don't like the Taliban. We don't like this narco stuff. We don't like Al-Qaeda. We'll do whatever we can to help you. Well, I think they had an exaggerated opinion of the Council on Foreign Relations, because I'm sure the government, well, we did, I called Conde Rice. Now, come 2002 January, Bush gives the Axis of Evil speech. I get a call from the ambassador, this time no dinner. Okay, I mean, really, what the heck is going on? And of course, that they have not been helpful in Afghanistan since then. And you may know that in 2003, they offered to sit down and talk to us about a whole bunch of issues, and we got mad at the Swiss ambassador for transmitting the thing. I saw a hand over there.
First one is, what do you think about use of military here at home?
Beginning in October, the Army plans to station an active unit inside the United States for the first time to serve as an on-call federal response in times of emergency. The 3rd Infantry Division's 1st Brigade Combat Team has spent 35 of the last 60 months in Iraq, but now the unit's training for domestic operations. The unit will soon be under the day-to-day control of U.S. Army North, the Army service component of Northern Command. The Army Times reports this new mission marks the first time an active unit has been given a dedicated assignment to Northern Command. The paper says the Army unit may be called upon to help with civil unrest and crowd control. The soldiers are learning to use so-called non-lethal weapons designed to subdue unruly or dangerous individuals and crowds.
Looking at live there's some live exercises directed with those in Iowa last month that actually got stopped. If you heard anything about that, you're talking.
Well, you got to be careful. The National Guard, when it's not mobilized, is under the governor. Okay, and you can use the National Guard in a state function, and that does not violate posse comitatus. Okay.
What if you still in treatment to usually go to towns or even more than
Well, yeah, okay, but then, and that was an interesting legal question. Whose authority were they under? And basically, they were under the control, theoretically, of the governor. You had a general and then coordinated. And remember, the admiral was the Coast Guard. got, down there. But yeah, that's a lot of people have argued we're going to drop that now, given the fact we might have a terrorist attack and so on and so forth. But the president can announced that he's rescinding it temporarily. Johnson did it in '68. We had riots in Detroit at the height of, after Dr. King's death and people protesting the war. The first President Bush sent Marines to Los Angeles after the Rodney King, and the governor, see what happens, the governor has to say, my National Guard can't handle it, can you send an active? And if you're requested, you can do that. In fact, if you go back and look at the history of Katrina, it was one of these things Bush kept saying, the governor hasn't asked me, you see, and that delayed the thing. We got a quick last question there, sir. Make it easy.
I know you talked about Afghanistan, but another thing you said, why we're in Afghanistan. Obviously, 9/11 happened, but no one actually, Commissioner Korb kind of whitewashed it, and in light of the fact that we know there's been a lot of false flag attacks perpetrated by the United States, Operation Gladio in Europe, U.S. Liberty. Why wasn't there a proper investigation of 9/11? And would you support an investigation?
Well, you did have the 9/11 Commission. Again, whether I'll leave it up to you to judge. I think that.
We the commissioner said they were stifled the murders of Tom.
No, okay,
Lee and I write in our book that we think the commission in many ways was set up to fail because we had not enough money. We didn't have enough time. We'd been appointed by the most partisan people in Washington, the leaders of the House and Senate.
all right. Well, you had did not even want to have the 9/11 Commission. They thought that if it were not for the victims, really push it. No, I agree. And they talk about now. I'm not as worried about putting people in jail, but I think we ought to investigate and see what happens so we don't do it. We don't do it again. Because go back and look at your history. In the '70s, when we had the Church Commission, we found out that some of the things that were going on that we really didn't know and we shouldn't have been involved in. Listen, thank you all very much. It's great to be back here.